All right, so I'd like to start out with module number 2 review, go over what we had to do last week. So I'm going to go over to modules in Blackboard. And let's go to module 2, which was HTML basics. So what we were basically doing in module 2 was taking what we learned in module 1, right? Just the base code that we need for every single HTML file we will use in this class or build in this class. And we're going to add some more elements to it within the body, right? Within the body element. So everything that you want to display in the browser, right, will appear in the body element. And so we had 3 assignments, a DQ, a lab, and a quiz. You had your learning objectives, of course. You had reading, which is chapter number 2, and you had your companion website. Please check the companion website first, okay, before you start to read the chapter. Because if there's any updates, I want you to update your either physical book or electronic book with the changes. So this way you're not having to reread or relearn, right, because you read it first, learned it, and then realized that there were some updates to that chapter. Okay, so it's a lot harder to kind of unlearn something than to just learn it the first time. Okay, so please do that every time we start a new module. The key concepts, of course, is what we cover in class in a shorter version. I really don't want to spend a lot of time lecturing because I'd rather get to the hands-on and use that class time more effectively or efficiently. Okay, of course, your screen captures are there. Those typically come on Thursday morning or so. And then your first assignment is the DQ that you had. And the title was Open Discussion. So the idea behind this DQ was to have you come up with your own discussion topic, right? For the rest of the semester, I'm going to be asking you to comment on my topic, right, that I decide. So this gives you a chance to come up with your own topic. And there's been some really good ones, okay? 60-something topics, right? So basically an idea or a topic covering web development or the internet was really the guideline there. And that was pretty much it. Same basic principles of DQ is you reply to me by the reply date and then reply to 2 other students by the second date, right, in that calendar. Any questions, issues, or problems with the DQ? All right. No news is good news, right? All right, so let's move on then. You had a series of tutorials, right? There were quite a bit of tutorials. Remember that these tutorials are really simply supplemental to the courseware, right? So the book has covers these items, but I provide just another avenue to get the same information, just maybe in a different format, okay? So everything is there. Sometimes I do include some items in the tutorials that are actually not in the book. Very rarely, but they're there because we typically talk about them in class, right? So I add them in the list, okay? Great. Any questions about the tutorials, accessing them, or using them? Anybody using the tutorials at all? Good. I'm glad everybody is. Your student files, of course, are here. These are the files that you'll need for the chapter, both the hands-on practice and the case study, right? And again, I'm providing you these as a courtesy. You can get them yourself via the book you purchased, whether it's online or a digital book or a physical book, all right? So it's up to you to decide how you want to get those files, but again, I give them to you as a courtesy. You're welcome to them. All right, I did provide a lab software. I typically will be doing this throughout the course of the semester, letting you know what kind of software you might need to use in this particular module. For the most part, they're all going to be the same after module 4, okay? Because we're going to be changing the tool we'll be using, okay? So far we've been using what tool? In class, at least. Yeah, Notepad, text edit, depending on the platform you're using. Very basic text editor, right? We're going to be graduating from the basic text editor to a code editor in Module 4, Okay, great. All right, and then your labs, right? Your second assignment for Module 2. So this was the lab that you started your case study, which will take us throughout the whole semester, right? One of our 2 websites we create in this class. Right? Pages 61 to 64, it was the Pacific Trails case study. You created 2 files, index and yurts, and you only had to provide or submit the index file, right? I only wanted the index file. Any questions, issues with Module 2 in the lab? Yeah, Michael. It's possible. Yeah. Any other questions? The W3C validator? Okay. So maybe the issue is with the file, perhaps? Yeah. Right. Even though they display, perhaps some of the coding there doesn't allow it to validate, which means it's invalid. Right? Yeah. Which is possible. Yeah. Because remember, the browser's simply displaying some HTML that it's hoping to try to display for you. All right? It's doing its best. Right? So even though it may not have valid code, it's doing its best to try to display what it can. Right? Yeah. Okay. And it may be perhaps just a minor symbol, perhaps, that you're missing or something. Although that minor symbol lets it not validate, perhaps. But again, I don't know. I'll have to, once I get to your file, we'll take a look. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's the labs. And then you had the last assignment was a quiz, right? 10 minutes, 10 questions. Hoping you're using review games. I think there's success for students that are using those review games as well as the review questions at the end of the chapter. Those that are using those are finding that they're getting a higher score in their quizzes. So if you're not getting the score you want, then perhaps utilizing the end of chapter quizzes and the games may help increase that quiz score. Any questions with the quiz? All right. Any other general questions regarding module number 2?